Get your special discount offer on the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/video.
All tasks have some type of constraint applied to them. A constraint is simply a scheduling rule that determines the start or end time of the task, or otherwise controls the scheduling and rescheduling options that are available for that task. Constraints allow the scheduling engine within Microsoft Project to reschedule tasks as needed within a project file. By default, Microsoft Project creates tasks with flexible constraints to allow for maximum flexibility in rescheduling. However, you can set the constraints for a task as needed to produce semi-flexible or inflexible constraints. Now, in Microsoft Project, the available task constraints are grouped into three main categories. You have flexible constraints, semi-flexible constraints, and inflexible constraints. A flexible constraint, which is used for task scheduling by default, allows for tasks to be scheduled without any date-restrictive limitations, with the exception being the starting or ending dates of the predecessor or previous and successor tasks within the project file. So when you use a constraint type such as soon as possible or ASAP, you're using a flexible constraint. You can also create semi-flexible constraints which allow for task scheduling within a date boundary that you choose. So for example, setting a start no earlier than constraint will allow you to schedule your task anytime after a specified date has passed. So that's an example of using a semi-flexible constraint. Now you can also create inflexible constraints, and inflexible constraints prevent the rescheduling of the task. So for example, using the must start on constraint forces a task to begin on the date specified. When you specify an inflexible constraint, the task will never be automatically rescheduled for any reason. Now in Microsoft Project, you can set the task constraints within the task information dialog box. So you just select the task and then click the task information button in the standard toolbar, for example. And then you would click on the Advanced tab. And here you can see the constraint type. So it defaults to as soon as possible. But you can use the drop down to select the type of constraint you would like. So you could say start as late as possible, start no earlier than, or your inflexible ones like must finish on, must start on. And if needed, you can also pick a date. And when you're finished, just click the OK button to apply your changes.
Like what you see? Get your special discount offer on the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/video. Over 24 titles are available in Microsoft Office, QuickBooks, Photoshop, and much more.